Hey, beautiful, welcome in. I am delighted to have you join us for a very special series of tarot and oracle readings honoring Black History Month. If this is your first video, I want to begin by sharing my inspiration and process for curating this series. But if you've already heard my spiel, you can use the timestamp in the caption below to skip straight to the reading. This series centers around a deck of cards that I've had for almost 2 decades. It is the African American Women Knowledge cards created by the Library of Congress. It was not created to be a spiritual deck. However, I've had the inclination for many years to use it as an oracle deck. And in February 2025, at the time that I'm recording this, I got the green light from my guides. So I cleansed the deck, I blessed it, and I modified it as I was guided to. And then I put out a call to the ancestors featured and celebrated in the deck to see who wanted to come forth and share messages of love, healing, and truth with me and my Café community. And from that call, we had 6 beautiful women ancestors respond, saying that they wanted to show up for us and share messages. And I've been spending time with these 6 beautiful women at my altar and just allowing their presence and their stories and their images really resonate and integrate and sink into my own psyche and spirit. And what you'll receive in each of these 6 videos is a message from one of these 6 ancestors. I begin with her image and her biography and any intuitive information, any intuitive insights that come through for me based on that information. And then I'll pull tarot and oracle cards to elaborate on the message and see what more we can learn from this beautiful ancestor. So go ahead and get comfy and cozy and get ready to fill your spiritual cup in communion with the ancestors. Greetings, Ancestor Septima Clark. We are grateful for your life and legacy, and we thank you for supporting us now with a message of love, truth, and healing. Septima Clark, born 1898. In 1960, Septima Clark traveled the South recruiting African Americans to participate in the Southern Christian Leadership Conference's Citizenship Education Program. She headed in McIntosh, Georgia. There, busloads of folks were taught basic literacy to prepare them for voter registration, an idea Clark had pioneered at the Highlander Folk School in the 1950s. I just thought that you couldn't get people to register and vote until you could teach them to read and write. Clark campaigned successfully to allow African Americans to teach in the city of Charleston and for equal pay for white and black teachers. But in 1956, after 40 years in the South Carolina school system, she was fired for refusing to give up her membership in the NAACP. Clark then commenced her second career through her efforts. 897 citizenship schools teaching literacy and voter education in people's kitchens and beauty parlors and under trees were organized from 1957 to 1970. Septima Clark. So the intuitive insights that I'm getting from this are just the biography itself resonating at a level of the importance of education and knowledge. And so when I read this the first time, when the cards first came out to me a couple of days ago, I was thinking, oh, there are definitely some educators in this audience, definitely some teachers in this audience, some people who, writers for sure, thinking about Toni Morrison and Ida B. Wells. But it's reminding me of the channel's model of fill your cup to fulfill your destiny. And what Septima Clark understood, our ancestor, is that we have to empower ourselves. We have to empower each other. And that could be through education. That could be learning to read, learning to write, but so many other things, right? For her, it was teaching people to read and write, and that being a form of how we fill ourselves, how we fill our cups, is by gaining knowledge, gaining education, gaining skills that matter to us and that equip us, that adequately equip us to go further, right? To strive towards greater destinies for ourselves. And of course, I think Septima Clark is really known for making the choice, making the hard sovereign choice. And maybe it wasn't a hard choice for her, but saying, I'm not going to give up my membership in this activist organization because my employer says I should, because the school system where I teach says I should, right? And so the theme for all 6 of these readings has been one of sacrifice. So she sacrificed her teaching position, her teaching job, to make a stand, to take a stand, and to, it was a political statement in saying, I can do other things. I will find something else to do with my life, my career, my work, my skills. I would rather start from scratch and create something new and different or go somewhere else than to bow down or kiss the ring, as they say, right? To tyranny, to the tyranny of, you think that just because you cut me a check every month, you get to basically keep me in bondage, keep me in chains, and dictate my freedom, And I'm thinking it's a tough contemplation, and every individual has to contemplate this for themselves. But even if we get paid to do certain jobs, there's a threshold where that job still turns into a form of slavery, a form of oppression. If because you work for us, you can't walk in your authenticity. Because you work for us, you can't stand for things that you really believe in. Because you work for us, you have to do things that go against your values. Because you work for us, because you're employed by us, you have to sacrifice your own integrity. Okay? And I've been thinking a lot about being in your own integrity. And a lot of times we're like, oh, I have to compromise or sacrifice my integrity to play it safe, to go the safe route. But, these 9-to-5s are not safe. Just inherently, they're not safe. They could fire you at any second. And it reminds me of the Hotel Rwanda movie where Don Cheadle's character says, they told me I was one of them and I believed them, right? And so we think we're playing it safe by not rocking the boat, by going along to get along, by doing exactly as we're told, by staying in our place, and they will still fire you. They will still pass you over for the raise. They will still pass you over for the promotion. Okay, so there is no safety in these capitalist 9-to-5 jobs. And so is it worth sacrificing your integrity for years, sacrificing your authenticity for years, only to find out in the end, they're still not going to give you what you want, And that specific example of her saying, yeah, no, y'all ain't loyal, so I'm not going to be loyal to you, right? I'm not going to divest from an organization that's fighting for me in order to remain employed by an organization that really doesn't give a damn about me, okay? Septima Clark. All right, let's pull from the Secrets of the Ancestors Oracle deck by Abiola Abrams and see what additional message our learning wants to come through. Oh, I love that this is the 6th and final video that I'm recording. And we get the Oracle card number 30, Mother of Water, Emotional Self-Care. Mother of Water, Emotional Self-Care. I don't think I need to explain that very much. I think if you're watching this, you have heard of self-care before. But it's specifically emotional self-care. So This refers to lots of things. Okay, let's see. A lot of things are bubbling to the surface, so I want to try to organize them to make sure I can get them across clearly. So emotional self-care is connected to physical self-care, but it's not exactly the same thing. There's a lot of overlap, right? So for example, with me, I love to run. It's physical and emotional self-care wrapped into one. But with this card, I feel that we're being asked to stretch that understanding a little bit further. And so it's not just doing things that make you feel good, because running makes me feel good. It helps with my dopamine levels. But doing the emotional self-care work also includes and requires things like having tough, difficult conversations, setting boundaries, even when it's scary, even when it's hard, removing yourself from toxic relationships, removing yourself from toxic situations, getting therapy, getting counseling, journaling, right? Meditating, doing all these mental and spiritual hygiene practices to care for yourself. So it doesn't mean you stop running and exercising. It doesn't mean you stop going to the spa or getting massages or taking naps and going to sleep. But you also do additional proactive work around emotional health and well-being. And boundaries is coming through. I keep being brought back to setting boundaries. And Septima Clark set a boundary. She really did. And she said, this is a boundary that I have, that you don't get to decide what organizations I belong to. Yeah. And so emotional self-care is not escapism. It's not escapism. It's not, oh, I'm going to escape my problems and just, let them fester and let them snowball into even bigger and bigger problems because I'm not facing them and I'm not really getting to the root of the problem, right? Emotional self-care means getting to the root of the problem, not just going out for drinks to take your mind off of it. And I know that can be hard for some people to hear, but if all you do is go away to escape and take your mind off your problems, and none of your actions, none of your self-care practices include actually trying to solve the problems or remove them from your life or address the root cause of them, that's not actually self-care. That's escapism. And again, I mentioned in the Ada B. Wells video that the sacrifices of our ancestors have given us unprecedented options and opportunities for self-care. Okay. Let's continue. Additional message inspired by our lovely ancestor, Septima Clark. What else wants to come through here from our ancestor, Septima Clark? I want to get one more. Okay, that's three more. Three more. Oh, wow. Okay, so there's a reason boundaries was coming through so strongly, because this, very surprisingly so, is a relationship reading. And it doesn't have to mean romantic, okay? Just doing life, creating, working with another person, building a life with another person, family, caring for people, nurturing each other. Emotional self-care could be the person that is your support system, your rock, your, who feels like home to you. The first two cards that came out, we have the Father of Knives and the Two of Baskets. The Father of Knives and the Two of Baskets. So this is a partnership that has really good boundaries and that is very mature and level-headed. And the second set of cards, which included three cards, we have the Ace of Knives, the Mother of Knives, and the Ace of Sticks. So we have the Father of Knives and the Mother of Knives. The mother and father from the same suit. With the Two of Baskets, which is the Two of Cups in another tarot deck. With the Ace of Swords and the Ace of Sticks. Ace of Knives. So there are people, when in terms of, emotional self-care and setting good boundaries, there are people that you are a good match with. There, they say you'll know your people when you meet them. You'll know your people when you see them. You'll know your tribe when you find it. There's using your own set of standards and values to decide who is right for you, right? Like, who's the right match for me? Not based on what my friends think, who my friends think is interesting or cool or cute or attractive, not based on what my parents want for me, right? Like, my own truth and knowing and saying, based on who I am, this is the right partner for me. Based on what I need, this is the right partner for me. Based on what my core values are, this is the right partnership for me. And so some of you and your partner could be destined to create, to make history. Not necessarily in the sense of a power couple, because I think power couple tends to be focused on materialism and like outward status and success. This is more so like a partnership that is beneficial to a larger divine plan. Okay, so a partnership that is part of the divine plan, because together, the two of you, what you will do and create and how you will spur each other on to your greater destinies is somehow serving to orchestrate greater liberation, greater freedom, greater advancement and evolution, right? The Ace of Knives and the Ace of Sticks. The Ace of Sticks came out with Ida B. Wells as well. So there's newness. And this is what's giving me the creative aspect with the Ace of Wands and Ace of Knives. It's like you are creating the partnership is very fertile. It's based in truth. It's based in creativity, and it's just a very fertile connection, I think, in terms of what outcomes or outputs or even the truth that you speak, right? There's a lot of clarity that you can bring. And in this deck, the Mother of Knives is a bibliomancer. And it's so interesting because all week I've been thinking about bibliomancy, and I was like, I want to do bibliomancy. I want to do some bibliomancy on this channel. And this Mother of Knives, you see, she has the book. She's using the knife to gather, to glean, to garner truth from the book. So this could be like a partner where you all write a book together. And there's a powerful message in there that will serve the people, serve, society or the community in ways that you might not even understand in your lifetime. Or there's like this creative person with all these ideas, and there is the right partner, whether it be a funder, an investor, whether it be a romantic partner, a spouse, or a family member, or a publisher, an editor, a publicist that helps this individual bring forth their voice and bring forth their creativity and their ideas out into the world. Yeah, and the last thing I'll say is that this is about the unity and that sense of community. So that has also been a recurring theme in several of the readings in this series, is who are your people? If you have a dream for your life, if you have a vision for your life, What is that sense of community that you've got around you? And whereas on the other readings, it's been mostly like community in more of a pluralistic sense, this reading is emphasizing that, you know, who is a person that you trust with your heart, with your vision, with your passions, with your creative endeavors, with your emotional, mental well-being and your health, right? So for some of you, you know, this message, I'm just really surprised. It's not the kind of it's very different, very distinct from the other 5 messages in this series. Yeah, there's just companionship and there's friendship, and that matters too. Yes, that matters too. That's part of your emotional self-care, is allowing yourself to appreciate and enjoy beautiful, loving relationships in your life. All right. Thank you again to our ancestor, Septima Clark, for supporting us with this message of love, truth, and healing. For those of you watching, I hope that this has helped you refill your cup, and I hope to see you in another video in this series or elsewhere on the channel. Take care. Much love.